Guys, why does Yandere Simulator's dialogue sound so robotic? I'm not the only one who noticed, right? When the Vaso sisters talk near the fountain, their dialogues are quite literally a question and an answer, like if they were asking ChatGPT lore questions about the game. One conversation that stood up in particular was the one where Inkyu was asking Sakyu why there were no boiler rooms in the school, and Sakyu gave the most long, unnecessary answer to a question that really isn't important for anything more than world building. It lasted over a minute! Then I noticed that almost every question that Inkyu makes was a why question, and Sakyu just gave a straight up answer to unnecessary world building. Even small things like a sinister laughter need to be explained as hiding something, as if the player wouldn't be able to pick it up for themselves. Then again, the Vaso sisters are side characters, and it seems like their only function is to give exposition. What about the important characters like Osana and Raivaru? How would 2-year-long friends who seem to be connected by soul would speak to one another? And it's the same. Raivaru is constantly asking Osana things, like if they never spoke outside the game. How are you supposed to convince the player they are longtime friends when Raivaru speaks like it's the first time she has seen Osana talk to Senpai? The literal first line is, "Osana, weren't you too rough with him?" Like, girl, you've known Osana for over a year now. How do you not know this? While I understand that these types of dialogues are made for the audience to know important details, I don't think audiences are that dumb. You don't need Osana saying things like, "I'm going to read this book Senpai gave me in the fountain where he spends all his time because it makes me feel closer to him," only to have Raivaru say, "You're such a hopeless romantic." Yes, we got it. Thank you. And that's far from the only time this happens with Raivaru as well. In the same conversation, she says, "If it's a book from his sister, it would be very bad if something happened to it." I think the audience knows, girl. I think they know. Look, I'm the type of person who thinks any idea could be a good idea if it's executed properly. Sure, it may not always be for everyone, but a good execution can bring a wave of new audiences, even if the original idea may not be as interesting as other ideas, or even if it's not a new concept. But for that to work, you really need good dialogues, which the game simply doesn't have. It's rare I'm triggered so much by something, but dialogue writing is something I'm passionate about, and I can't ignore what I'm hearing the voice actors say. Even in small things like tasks, the 1980s tasks have so much in terms of words that it's just redundant. For example, the scarf tasks says the following: I'm so cold. I know that this weather is perfect for everyone else, but for me it's just too chilly. I've been like this ever since I was a little kid. I always need to be wearing a jacket or something, or else I'm just freezing. I wish I had learned how to sew, so I could go to the sewing room and knit myself a scarf or something. I'm sorry, random person, but why are you telling me all this? Why are you telling me this entire backstory to a random girl who's asking you if you need anything, because that's not weird at all? Why do I need to know the reason she's cold? I don't need a reason. She's simply cold. If you wanted to convey the player should go to the sewing room and make a scarf, that's fine. Or at least it would be if you didn't literally give it the step-by-step tutorial in the pink box that opens up right after the dialogue has ended. The dialogue is weirdly long for a placeholder task. So long, in fact, I took the time to fix it in 2 single lines of dialogue. Here it is. It's so cold. I didn't know the weather was so bad here. I left my scarf at home. Do you think you can get one for me? There, 2 lines. Not only is this shorter, but also it gives hints of world building. By saying, I didn't know the weather was so bad here, it means 1. The character is not from the place the game takes place in, and 2. It gives more information on the place the story is happening, since Japan is divided by 9 regions, and it's not too crazy to think that some of those regions have different weather. This could be interesting for the discarded weather rival named Gloomy Girl, who was going to investigate the weather in her week. You see what I mean? There's just so much necessary work and lines of dialogue and recorded and time wasted on something that literally doesn't matter since it's a placeholder task. Which, by the way, for being a placeholder task, it surely doesn't feel like one considering how long it has been in the game, especially considering the original voice actress for the tasks doesn't work in Yandere Simulator anymore. And speaking of such, I actually have direct contact with the girl who voiced this task, since she also voices one of the characters in my game. Her name is Rachel, and I asked her if she wanted to add a bit more to the video. This is what she had to say in the logical part of the task, which is something I didn't even consider. I guess that that it is definitely unrealistic for Ryova to either automatically know how to sew or to sew a scarf that quickly, unless she learned as a kid of course. But it is still unrealistic how she's able to sew an entire scarf within 2 seconds. I think that the task itself is cool, but to make it more realistic, Ryova could have found the scarf somewhere around the campus instead. Maybe Koharu or whoever had the scarf task could say, I wish that I had a scarf, then maybe I wouldn't be so cold. What? You're going to find me a scarf? If you're being serious, I would really appreciate that. Or Ryova could also buy the scarf in the town. What? You're going to buy me a scarf? If you're being serious, I would appreciate that so much. If Ryova absolutely had to sew a scarf, then maybe it could take longer in the game, such as an hour in the game, and the player would be able to speed it up. I don't actually know how long it takes to sew a scarf, but I assume it would take a while. Another idea could be that Ryova could go home after school and sew the scarf at home, after either grabbing the supplies from the sewing room, take home, or buying supplies from the town. And as a side note, she also thought that "Brr, it's cold" part was awkward to say. Having unnecessary dialogue can drive people away from a project, since while those kinds of dialogues worked 2 decades ago, nowadays, new project needs to adapt to less dialogue and more gameplay, which admittedly, it's funny considering Yandere Dev has always said the game is 90% gameplay and 10% story. But I digress. There's a lot more wrong with Yandere Simulator's dialogue, especially when it comes to Senpai and the blooming relationship he has with the rival girls. But maybe that's an analysis for another video. Remember to drink water, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!